How's it going, YouTube? It's your boy Napoleguin here with a 2v2 match from the Final Bastion 2v2 tournament hosted by Matthew the Pirate Guy. And I'm facing against Lindsey Norrington and Steve. We're both going Privateer or Musketeer. And this match here is a really good example of why a lot of the players in this game really hate some of the RNG based factors like pets, criticals, accuracy, um, and the 5% RNG factor. It basically makes it so that as far as your criticals or the chances of hitting or missing, you always have a 1 in 20 chance of that happening no matter what. It tends to come in very inconvenient parts of the game, and it's just something that's completely unnoted, completely unneeded. So stumble over my words there. So I get first turn. That gives me a good advantage because I get to slow them and I get to move up and spread out. It's a bigger advantage than you think. Yes, you can come back from it. It's not like Wiz. But that's not the only reason why this is particularly unfortunate because I get super bombs right away, as you'll see in just a second. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that play out. I thought about speeding this up, but I honestly have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to go ahead and let the video play at its natural speed. It's also good to target units that don't have a lot of will, particularly if you can center it over them. And if you attack them when they don't, if you attack units that don't have a lot of armor either, like swashbucklers in this case, um, musketeers as well, but if you attack them, then you're going to do a lot more damage than, say, if you were to bomb a buccaneer. Because bombs, they do physical damage. They're based off of Mojo, but they do physical damage. So, and you see I bombed right there, back where the pirate zone is. That puts down flames, so that's when big guns are especially effective. Now, throughout this match, the privateer on the other side, Steve, I don't know what was happening, but he wasn't pulling forwards, he wasn't pulling heals. Man, the guy wasn't even pulling bombs earlier, man. I don't know like how certain privateers can't do basic things like focus on getting the three most important powers in a 2v2 match. It's like all you have to do is support your musketeer. Your job is not that hard. I just don't get it. So it's really the easiest class you can learn for this style of PvP. It's pretty much the easiest class in the entire game. So if you have like will buffs, critical buffs, accuracy buffs, man, those are all RNG based. I've had just as many criticals without critical buffs as with them. Man, just burn that. If you have to get a fort, get a fort, you know? You just got to burn that stuff, you know? You got to get to it right away. So I'm going to point that out. Good move there, slowing the people in the back so you can separate my forces. Contessa hides a bit early. Um, and there we go with the 75% agility buff. And I got a lot of forts in my hand. I think I get a pretty good hand pretty much all game. So I fort my musketeer and I move all the way up. So I can get in a good position to basically use the musketeer's version of a scatter blast. I'm just going to go ahead and fort my pirate. I'm being very careful because I know that bombs are 7 squares off, or at least the edge of the bombs. Now the card says 6 range, but that's 6 range centered. Now the edge makes it 7 range, so I'm very careful to count the squares here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As you can see, I move all my companions barely out of range. I'm putting a fort on my pirate. They're all scrunched up because they can't move because I slow them with the otters. So they're in a good position for me to either bomb them, or in this case, I do think I use basically the pirates version of Bunny and Scatterblast. The name is eluding me right now because I don't really use it very often. But I pulled it and I was like, you know what? This would be a good opportunity to use this power that I barely ever use. So it looks like the pets are coming into play. Now, an added bonus is that the the one pirate, Lindsey Norrington, doesn't have grit or anything like that, and her chains are likely to land onto one of my pets. Now, she's the type of, well, it's actually he, but um, Lindsay's the type of player that will hunker down and use like a lot of basic shots, or so I've noticed, despite not having true grit. So she tries the basic, she tries a shootout early on. I don't know why. It's not really advisable. It doesn't really help her. Um, but that's basically what happens in just a second. And they're still slowed. So there Steve goes. He's basically taken the slows off with his eye patch, the power on his eye patch. So they're no longer slowed. Emmett uses his group heal. Emmett's in a really nasty position right now. He's basically in front of everyone. And what's really bad about bringing Emmett versus muskets is he's a privateer, which means that pretty much everything on the field has like 2/3 more agility. I mean, like 3 times more agility, I should say. My bad. Uh, I said that wrong. But three three times as much agility, man. It's like almost guaranteed to chain. So he's really bad to bring. Steve likes otters a lot, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure why they brought it. He's kind of a good unit only if you get first turn. So in a 3v3, I think he's a little more viable because he can still kind of hide there in the back, and slows are a little just a little bit better as well. Like there's a greater margin for error in 3v3s. So, all right, still in a good position to bomb. Um, and I'm bombing that group. I think it's because I want to weaken the Contessa, the Contessa to the north in this case. So, I think that's why I'm doing it. So I scatter blast with my own Bonnie Ann because they can't attack her, she can attack them. Just a good way to get some nice free damage in there. So yeah. So yeah, and I think I apply my slows again. So that I'll have an extra turn or so to basically deal with those Contessas. There we go. I slow Steve's group. I slow most of Lindsay's group. There we go. The free damage from the scatter blast. Excellently positioned right there. And there we go. I think the animation for that power looks so cool. And then I pop my agility buff because I really don't want to get chained as much. He has his 75% agility buff on, so I'm like, you know what? It's time to use mine. And here's the part of the match that I talked about earlier, why people hate pets, why people hate RNG. That pet clutched through 3 overwatches. 3 overwatches and I think a chain. I might be wrong, it might not have been a chain, but 3 overwatches. That pet just clutched through all of it and completely ruined Contessa's hide. Now Contessa could have posed a major threat here. She could have pressured my pirate. She could probably have dealt with Bonnie Ann on her own. So it really has screwed them over. The fact that my pet was right there took a couple of chains earlier from Lindsay so that she didn't do as much damage, and now it survives 3 overwatches and it takes away Contessa's hide. This is why people who PvP do not like pets that spawn. They do not like them at all. Okay? If anyone takes this game seriously in any way and tries to do PvP, they do not like pets. They do not like summons. They do not like the fact that if you have a 100% wheel buff or agility buff, or you have enduring discipline on, or you have the swashbuckler ability, the one that gives you basically 15%. That basically there nothing's guaranteed. No accuracy is guaranteed. No critical buffs are guaranteed of any type. Um, we really don't like that at all because sometimes it feels like when we don't buff, we critical more or we hit more, and it just it doesn't make any sense at all to reward players that make the wrong moves. And you see Steve there, he just used a reduce on my pet. I don't think he meant to do that, but he's watching I think Yu-Gi-Oh or something like that while he's doing this match. So there we go. I decide to double fort my pirate. Probably going to VA him next turn. I'm going to try and keep my companions out of harm's way for the most part. I think I mess up just a little bit, but so if you saw what happened, Lindsey, she moved up her Contessa. You can see it's 2 spaces away from my musketeer to the north. Um, so what she's going to do this turn now is she's probably going to go for my Bonnie Ann. It's a clear shot. So she's basically exchanging Contessa for Bonnie Ann. I think Bonnie Ann is a better companion. I think that she just has more uses overall. Not to mention I haven't used my heal yet, so there we go. Double fort my pirate. So basically, my pirate has 75% damage reduction. So the opponent is only doing 25% because I have 2 forts on. That's going to be really important in a second because I'm going to put a VA. And it looks like my Bonnie Ann does a pretty good number on his Emmet. Part of me is regretting not moving my Bonnie Ann back. I'm just pressuring Steve a little bit, so he has to fort. I should have moved my Bonnie Ann back there because there's no reason why I should have lost her in that case. So there my pet comes in again. I think this time they're a little bit more lucky. Yes, they are. They actually kill my pet. If I am right, I'm watching this again and I'm commentating over it because I was flabbergasted at some parts of it. They really got unlucky at certain parts, and I think I may have said some words that aren't exactly YouTube friendly, So they really give the pets in this game too much health, number one. Number two, why the heck do we need them to spawn in the first place? Alright, so it's once again their turn. Something that also doesn't really add anything to the game is the fact that you have to wait a whole nother turn for all the pets to move, and they take so long, and they do the dumbest things. It really does not add anything to the game. It's not really enjoyable at all. So it looks like most of his pirates and companions are still slowed, at least with a crappy 33% one instead of the 50% one. So Steve forts because he kind of has to because I pressured him. Moves his Contessa up. Lindsey bombs, and she kills Stinker first. That pet was a real stinker for real. And yeah, GG Bonnie Ann. I should have moved her back. I definitely should have moved her back. I should not have risked what I did just for an Emmet. That was not a good trade whatsoever. So, a very unnecessary one. Now I get wise, and I move my Bonnie Ann back because I realize, hey, I don't have to lose my Bonnie Ann in this case. So basically, I learned from what I just did while I'm in the match. So I moved my Bonnie M back and I moved my other companions back. I'm like, hey, my pirate's here. There's no reason for me to be risking any more health for my companions. Why don't I just continue to bomb his companions and gain the advantage? Which is what I do. And also, I try and kill his Minotaur pet, which I think I do because I get a good lucky critical. Um, and I put my VA on as well. Alright, there we go. I should have actually trick shotted his Contessa instead of Emmett, Lindsey, and Exeter, but as you can see, those are the pirates that are marked, or the units that are marked. There's the VA. And in case you don't understand the game mechanics behind VAs in Valor Fortresses, if you put the Valor Fortresses on first and then you put the VA on afterwards, the Valor Fortresses count for the Valor armor. So there we go. And his Contessa is dead. So basically, I have a 75% damage reduction, but not only do I have a 75% damage reduction, I have a 75% damage reduction to my own health and the Valor Absorb. And looks like Queen Xena is dead. We have the last pet out of the way, and things are going to move a lot more quickly now. So things are going to get a lot more fun. Well, in my opinion, at least. So, um, so yeah. So yeah. I have um, 3 more rounds on my Cloud Spirit. It looks like I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lindsey could bomb my Exeter and my Pirate. It's not going to do a huge amount of damage. To me, it's going to hurt my Exeter a little bit. I don't know if it'd really be worth it. Okay, so Dark Steven decides to fort Lindsey. I'm not sure she had a fort on or not, but that Exeter right there moved up. So I really have to worry about. Oh my goodness. Well, it looks like my Exeter's gone because Lindsey actually criticals her bombs and she criticals her backstab from Contessa. We get a slow from Exeter on the right flank. And I've got a lot of heals and a lot of assassins and stuff in my hand, which is nice. It's nice for this stage of the game. It works for me. At this point, we're pretty much running even on our companion count. He's actually slightly ahead, but I've done so much damage to them. It's not even funny. And they're still huddled up in a corner. So as you can see, the blue Exeter, which is Steve's Exeter, um, that Exeter is now in range of my pirates, so I can expect to get reduced. But I'm not really concerned. Why? Because I've got bombs in my hand. When an Exeter reduces the pirate, then yes, you can't do as much damage on your trick shots or your basic hits, but you can do just as much damage on your bombs, which is why it's important to have, plenty of bombs in a team battle so that when you get reduced, you don't have to worry about the fact that your trick shots won't do much because you'll be bombing instead. So I just ensured the kill on that Contessa because, that's what you do. I don't know what Steve's thinking right here. I mean, he should be healing away, but as I said before, some privateers just don't know how to play this game, especially in team battles. I mean, come on, your 3 most important powers. They're forts, heals, and early on bombs, right? He only has 1 assassin strike on, right? So I know his hand isn't full of assassin strikes or melee attacks. So the only other thing he really could have in his hand is maybe zeal, which isn't as important in a musket versus musket. Maybe S spirit, maybe discipline or enduring discipline. You know how those work. Sometimes you critical more without them than you do with them. So I would burn those to try and get heals in this situation. All right, so he pulls his third fort, um, so that Lindsey is double forted. There we go. I'll go for a little bit of a grit shootout here. Takes away quite a bit of my absorb, but I lower his health by quite a bit as well. As said before, man, I have those bombs. I ain't too concerned if they lower my damage. I still do a good bit of damage, and my bombs always do full damage even if I am reduced because bombs, their power is based off of mojo, not physical damage. So Lindsey decides to use a rally from her pet, and she's pretty much back to full health again. So we're even on the companion count. No, the companion count. The companion count. My bad. I keep stuttering. Um, he has 4 companions. I have 4 companions. His pirates and his companions are in a lot worse shape, a lot less health. At this point, if Steve, um, Lindsey's privateer, if he decided to just pull here, if he decided to just heal up and everything, if he decided to heal Exeter and uh and the other companions and Lindsey or himself, man, that would be the right call. But he didn't pull any heals. After all this time, he could have burnt all those crappy abilities that I mentioned earlier. He could have burnt his will buffs. He could have burnt his barricades. All right, so basically, I'm just moving up. I'm getting ready to try and pick off some of his companions. I drop Nox right there. That way, Steve can't, reach across to my musketeer or Chantel. And they're kind of split right here. This kind of splits them in half. Exeter can't move back, so it's like I'm still reduced. But I'm safe because the only person who can really attack is Lindsey and the otter. So I'm pretty much safe. If the otter stuns, then I don't have to worry much about Lindsey's quick draws. If it doesn't stun, um, I'll still survive Lindsey's quick draws. So and I'll probably kill the otter. So either way, I'm not too concerned. And either way, I'm pretty darn certain that both otters are going to die. There we go. He does his crit buff that he probably should have burnt in order to pull heals earlier. Okay. There we go. The max agility buff. Moves up his otter. Moves up his Chantel. So yeah, I think he's trying to pressure my pirate right now. What's really good is that Chantel has the other Chantel right across, so she can shoot that because Chantel doesn't have any reactionary epics, and he in the otters are just out of range, so Chantel can just pick off the otters as well. So I'm double forting my musket again. I have my Bonnie Ann's heal, and my musketeer also has a Veiler's armor, just in case things go south. Or north in this case, but you know what I mean. There we go. Going to move my Jane Canary and my other Exeter um, to the east, to the northeast just a little bit. I'm going to see if I can get Lindsey to basically bomb them so they can ignore my pirate, because Lindsey's going to be the main damage carry. But it's kind of a little bit of a double factor here because my Jane Canary can also snipe the other Exeter. So if Lindsey decides to completely ignore that group, I can go ahead and snipe that Exeter that Chantel's working on right now. So, all right. Well, we have one otter out of the way. I was not able to chain, which is reasonable because he has the max agility buff on. So, yeah. Pretty sure they can't kill me. Pretty sure they can't kill my Chantel. Um, they could do a bit of damage on my Bonnie Ann and almost kill her. Um, they could do damage on my Jane Canary or my Eggster in this case. My Privateer got slowed with the 50% slow, which is kind of odd because I wasn't planning on assassin striking. I was actually planning on moving up and healing my Bonnie Ann. But, it does take away one option. Steve hides, and at this point, I think he's trying to go around and assassin strike some of my companions or something. But he has no protection on, you see. Alright. And despite being reduced, I still put in quite a bit of damage here. Albeit they do actually break my absorb barely. It is 101 damage, and I'm reduced. So, yeah. Still quite a bit. So Exeter gets a good chain off. So, yeah. And I get stunned. No more reactionary epics for me. And yes, looks like the ploy works. Lindsey actually decides to bomb the companions instead of attacking me. So, I'm very surprised. I'm quite surprised that actually worked. Super hit. And looks like Chantel gets close to a full chain, although she only gets one critical. I would have expected a little bit more, but I guess today was not their lucky day. So I go ahead and use my Bonnie heal, and I use my Musketeer's Valor armor, and I move my Privateer to heal up in case they dish out more damage. So I decide to move my Eggster out of there so that Lindsey won't be able to bomb two units at the same time. And I basically keep working at the Eggster there, the Eggster to the north, Lindsey's Exeter. So I'm outranging with Chantel and outranging them with Jane Canary right there. And then just sniping them away. Range is a really great advantage. It's the reason why I love Jane Canary, Chantel, Bonnie Ann. So some people will say, hey, why didn't you bring Nazuga? I was like, I know what I'm doing. I'm against a musketeer, You think that, I'm going to risk being stuck in the corner with Nazuka? If I'm going to fight a battle in the trenches, I want someone with some range. So that's the way I thought about it coming into this. I think that Emmett would have possibly been one of the worst companions to bring. So she's still a Sky Spirit on. I think this is really when luck really kicks in a bit. It's a little unfortunate because I kind of wanted to be like 100% legit. I did play pretty well. They kind of didn't pull the cards they wanted in, some lucky criticals and stuff earlier, so it already does feel a little bit bad. There we go. He heals. Quick draw. True grit. Burst fire. Burst fire from Lindsey. We get a true grit from Matthew Walker, followed by a burst fire, and that was nearly resisted. Lindsey gets off her first hit, gets a nice epic critical, but it looks like Matthew Walker is able to fire back with minuscule damage of 7 and 16. You get a quick draw, which is, again, almost resisted. Chantal Livingston goes for another shot again, and looks like she is just able to break the absorb and get off another burst fire. So that ends the turn, and thank goodness I, in this case, thought to move up and revive Matthew so that I could revive Matthew Walker next turn. I think I decide to um, move back move back all my companions out of range because at this point it's not really worth it at all. So I really forgot what I did with my musketeer here. I think I bombed them or something. I think Steve does not have a fort, so I may go for a shot here. I don't recall what I did on my musketeer though. I really don't. Well, we're about to find out though, so hit done. There we go. I get an epic heal, and I think they really got upset here because it was an epic heal. In this case, I don't think it really made much of a difference. The heal would have prevented them from killing me, and I really didn't need that much more health. But it's Steve. It's not likely to get through that minefield, especially without a fort. So, oh yeah, here. That's what it is. That's what it is. I put my nice agility buff on, so now I'm chaining a little bit. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't have a fort. I have my agility buff on. It's really not quite as much RNG as I remembered earlier. It's a little bit at the beginning was quite frustrating, um, but yeah, yeah. I think the pet earlier really screwed them over though. I mean, going through 3 overwatches and then just and just surviving and complete removing Contessa's hide, man. That was a real bummer. So they move their Chantel back, um, which honestly I don't know what they do at this point. They pretty much lost. But we got to commentate throughout the rest of the match. At this point I'm in a good position, so I'm like, might as well use enduring discipline. Um, I'm thinking about moving up. Thinking about it. I might change my mind because there's really no point because I would have to wait 6 turns in order to move across the bombs right there on the side. So we'll see what I do. But I know what I would do in this case. I would keep my companions right where they are and just, wait for the bombs in front of Matthew Walker to clear up. But oh, I see what I'm doing here. I'm moving my Chantel up to chain on Steve. I'm moving my other companions up to basically take chains from Lindsey. Oh, okay, this is making more sense now. There we go. Bomb right away and get a nice little critical. So, there we go. Looks like Steve's healed from one of his ticks. He finally pulled a revive and used it on himself, it looks like. So now it is Lindsey's turn. At this point, I don't see any way they could really turn it around. They've taken so much damage. They've lost pretty much all their companions. They're huddled up in a corner. They move anywhere, they're going to get knocked back with my knockback bombs. So yeah, things are not looking too good for them right now. Not too good at all. Go, Steve pulls his VA and puts it on. Lindsey goes for a shot, which is probably a good move, all things considering. Really chunks down my health. And I decide to move all my companions out of range and bomb them once again. I'm not taking any chances. I'm getting rid of that Chantel right away because I don't want them to heal it. I don't want the match to last forever, so yeah. I think I'd move my Chain Canary out of position here because she can't really hit Steve, and I don't want her to cause a chain reaction from Lindsey. Um, so yeah, I move her back instead. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm trying to lower Steve's health so I can kill him here. Like, well, I could kill Chantel and sure the kill there, but I think I could kill Steve, so why not? So I think that's what I do here. Okay, Bonnie Ann pulls an epic. Now keep in mind I still have my 100% agility buff on, so um, I am criticaling a lot here, but I still have that buff on. I think I timed my buff a lot better. Yep, here we go. True Grit, Quick Draw, Burst Fire. Hooey, that's brutal. True Grit. Steve being salty as usual. Yep. They probably had a right to get angry about what happened at the beginning of the game, but at this point, this point y'all grasping at straws. Alright, Lindsay's got one turn on her Veiler Fortress. I think she still has one more on her Pirate. Something I don't get, and it's something a lot of musketeers do nowadays. I've seen them with like 2 forts, 2 VAs, 3 or 4 hides and stuff like that. I'm like, you need some bombs, man. What happens if you get reduced? You have no reactionary epics, and you're going for such a defensive set. I don't get it. So in this case, I realized that I don't really gain anything by having my otter there, so I'm just going to go ahead and move them back. She has 2 forts on, so I'm just going to go ahead and chip away at Lindsay's health here. Okay. Yeah, I can't really do anything. Gonna heal my Bonnie in and move her out. Move her out of range. For a split second, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I could move up and do some damage. And I'm thinking, no, that's not such a good idea because I don't want to get chained down by Chantel. So that's basically what I'm pondering in this particular sequence here in the planning phase. Here we go. Heal my Bonnie in. Move my Exeter back. My Canary right over there. Put a fort on. It's the only fort that I have on my musketeer. My musketeer is a damage carry. So, and my privateer is a late game damage carry in some ways. He's got 2 assassin strikes, so if this match was closer and it came to late game, those assassin strikes would have helped a lot. And the way you look at it is, what do you get if you don't have assassin strikes? So you get some bombs that are likely to low roll and maybe do like 200 damage. If you get lucky, you get like a super high roll like what I did. You get like close to 700 instead, which is kind of nice. But at the same time, an assassin strike and tide, it's 1,000 damage plus 2 bleeding, so it's like an almost guaranteed 1,500 damage. When you think about it that way, you're like, I think the assassin strike sounds a little nicer. It's also concentrated damage, so. Yerp. Go and move my companions back because I'm gaining nothing by keeping them around. I should not have moved my Jane Canary where I did last turn. There's no point in doing that. But she's lucky enough to survive, and I'm lucky enough to see what I need to do here, so there we go. Bye-bye, Chantel. Funny enough, I actually had a manager in McDonald's called Chantel, but she spelled her name with an S instead of a C. So, yeah. I've actually teamed with Lindsay a couple of times. She's not usually a bad player or anything, so don't think that just because I'm raffle stomping this team right now that Lindsey's like the worst player in the world. I know people see themselves lose on TV, not TV, on a YouTube channel or something like that. Sometimes, it may feel that way, but man, you know, you know, the shoe fits, you wear it, and he's not that bad of a player. So, all right, going to go ahead and use a crappy heal on my body in because, at this point, it's better if we sit back and wait out Lindsey's last fort and, heal up our companions and stuff so the game doesn't last forever. We throw all of our companions at Lindsey, we just lose them. There's no sense in that, so yeah, I'm just going to use some crappy heals and wait that fort out. I think I actually heal my Chantel with another crappy heal on my musket, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's the heal for my pet, which I don't usually end up using in most matches, but it's this match, sometimes you just get an opportunity to just step back and relax, and wait out the opponent's, resources, which is what I'm doing right here. All right, so the game's winding down, so I might as well talk about, what I plan on doing because I can't really think of anything else right now. So what's been happening in the community? Well, this 2v2 tournament's been happening. After this match, I'll probably be facing what's nicknamed the Lola Squad by another YouTuber I know. Um, so I'll be facing Generous Lola Xavier and Sophia West. So I'm hoping it'll be an easy. Well, I'm not hoping it'll be an easy clap necessarily, but from the past, you know, they're they've proven themselves to be pretty bad players. So I would be pretty disappointed if I lost to them. So after this, I will be facing either Phoenix or I'll be facing basically the jobbers. So should be interesting. Should be interesting. Jobbers are currently considered the best 3v3 team. And right now they have the two best players in a 2v2. So that's where I want to be. I want to face off against the jobbers if I can, because it's always good to have an opportunity to face the best. At one point, I was the best 3v3 team. I trio screened and I was the best for a little while, and I really want to claim back that position. Best 2v2er and best 3v3er. So claim my space back. I'm also planning on making something regular. I think something that hasn't really been tried yet is a high stakes 3v3 competition. I think that that's a unique opportunity for me to basically, you know, organize an event and basically say that it's the championship of Pirate 101. So I organize a 3v3, and basically the more teams join, the larger the pool is. That's basically how it works. The pool is pretty evenly distributed between, the top 3, 4, 5, 6, or, the list keeps going down depending on how many players join. So if you join and you're better than the top 60 or 50%, chances are you'll get something if a decent number of people join. That's how that's going to work. All right, going to go ahead and fort my pirate because I'm not going to take any chances here. So I'm planning on hosting this event in May 18th, if all goes well. I'm not saying anything for sure because it could just jinx myself, but I really want to do this, guys. I really want to do this. All right, Otter moves in, triggers True Grit. Off his Overwatch, True Grits again. And that puts Lindsey Norrington into elusive. She quick draws. Exeter goes ahead and hits with another grit. Lindsey burst fires and somehow manages not to get stunned. And there we go. Honest Abe, my privateer's Bonnie Ann, quick draws and gets a couple burst fires. Looks like Lindsey Norrington burst fires on Bonnie and gets a nice epic critical. Um, and Lindsey double taps onto um, Matthew Walker, my musketeer. My musketeer reacts, and then my Bonnie Ann gets some more chains, and that ends the match, folks. That ends the match. GG, guys. I am off to the semifinals. Wish me luck because I will be in the finals soon. Peace out for now.